Item 9.3, the Crozier Hill Development Investigation. I won't take any questions relating to the report, but happy to get a briefing with the scheme and lawyers. The report. This is really about releasing the report into the public sphere tonight. So the first recommendation is that Council receive and note the Crozier Hill Development Investigation report. Thank you, Councillor Schofield, and seconded by Councillor Robertson. Do either of you want to speak to receiving and noting the report? No. Does anybody want to speak to receiving and noting the report? Councillor Charles?
I was just wondering why you won't accept questions on this issue, because if I can just say this, Mayor, the previous CEO Maxwell stated on occasions that when accepting the recommendations, Council also accept and validate accompanying information such as the purpose, the background, the commentary, the risk assessment and so on. Can you tell me if that is correct?
That is correct. This isn't a report from the Council. This is a report from the lawyers and from the insurance scheme. So if you've got any questions, you actually... Sorry, let me finish, Councillor Charles. If you have any questions, then you need to ask the lawyers and the insurance scheme. They are more than happy to come to Council and provide us with a briefing. The CEO can't answer any questions in relation to the report, but they can. So what the following recommendation, not this one, the following recommendation is around the public release of that report and that correspondence. Well, so this is about receiving and noting the report only.
I understand, but if I may just point out something which is of great importance, we can't vote on this, I don't believe, because if I say the last sentence under employee and public safety reads, the closure of this matter through independent review, regardless of the outcome, as well as cessation of the discussion within the chamber will reduce the risk to low. Now,
Councillor Charles, Councillor Charles, we're on receiving and noting the report. We are not talking about the report at all at the moment. The risk assessment refers to the report. So we're receiving and noting the report. Does someone want to move to receive the report? Councillor Charles? Yeah, I've got to move and receive. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. We have got it's Councillor Schofield and Councillor Robertson. I beg your pardon. Does anybody else want to speak to the report, receiving and noting it? Councillor Robertson?
Yes, even though I have supported the receiving and noticing of this, the report, which is attached at, which is part of this material here, that this is the summary. This is the report that came from the report we're discussing is this one here.
The report we're receiving and noting at the moment is that one there, yes?
Yeah. That I also wonder, and this is not part of the report, this is part of the Council's own preamble to and background information to this, that not only the issue of that Councillor Charles has just raised, about what's included in the risk assessment, I would have thought that it was enough to have just left the first sentence in that public employee and public safety. I wonder if we really want to be putting in the second sentence, because you know, to me. We don't want to also get ourselves into a situation where we are coming to a level which we're ultimately complaining about. So, yeah, this wants to go ahead with this, but I think that let this go out to the population. But I don't think that some of the material that's been included in the risk assessment does any favours to this council by being included.
I might refer that question to the CEO who have done the risk assessment.
Through the Mayor, thank you for the question. The risk assessment isn't about doing any favours for the council, it's bringing those various risks to the council's attention, and they're risks that we have assessed as being risks, whether they be public safety of employees, whether they be legal compliance, and whether they be reputational. In accordance with our risk assessment matrix, that's what we believe are risks.
Any further commentary on receiving and noting the report? Councillor Charles, have you got a question?
Yes, just to continue with what Councillor Robertson is trying to say, and this was my question 5.2, under what section of the Local Government Act would there be a cessation of discussion on any issue or topic? How can we mute? Surely this is ultra vires. This is established, well, if I'm not permitted to ask any further questions in council regarding Stock Road, Crozier Hill, then that is gagging a council member. I don't think that's in the Act, unless you can point me to it.
Through the Mayor, there is no recommendation or resolution that the council chamber is making that decision. What we're saying in the risk assessment is that the cessation of discussions will actually reduce that risk. And there are mechanisms in which you can actually cease to have certain things being debated or presented to the chamber, and you've actually done that before. And there isn't a provision in the Act as such, but there are provisions that you can actually put in place. We have already implemented our unreasonable complaints policy against Mr Blatchford in regards to his ongoing complaints coming into the administration, directed at certain staff and directing at certain elected members. You would need to go through a separate process to do that. You are not doing that tonight. Tonight you are receiving a report from the Local Government Mutual Liability Scheme on an investigation that was undertaken. I have highlighted some risks and also some opportunities to actually reduce those risks further.
Thank you, Victoria. Councillor Glasbrook and then Councillor Kemp.
Yes, I'll just clarify for the members, for the way that I read this, we're not accepting the report within the agenda, we're accepting the report from the local government insurance company. So we're not accepting what's written in the risk. That's a council evaluation of some risks that they have, which is within all of our documentation. The report that we're receiving is the report from the local government. So I can't see an issue in receiving that report. I'd like to receive it and I'd like it to be released to the public because it'll continue the conversation if it needs to be continued. That's the way I look at it.
You're quite correct, Councillor Glasbrook. This is a risk assessment that goes with any internal recommendations that occur. It's not related to the report itself. Councillor Kemp.
Yeah, just a question to the CEO, if I may, on the risk side of it, as she did the risk assessment. Did you consider that if we don't resolve this issue, that we're going to court could be assessed as high because of the reputation of council and the cost of council to go to court if we don't resolve this issue? That is a risk too. Did you consider that as part of your risk assessment?
Yes, we did. But we have not been presented with that at any stage during this entire investigation, and that to me is the ultimate way of ceasing this is actually for any of those components to take council to court.
Again, I guess the question was along the lines as well, CEO, was that trying to resolve this out of court would be a better way of option, a lower risk than going to court if it's not resolved outside of the courtroom, if you understand where I'm coming from. That's what I was just wondering if you did assess it as that. So I'm just wondering why it wasn't put in here then as part of your assessment process, and just only picking one or two out. That's all. I thought when you do a risk assessment, you provide all the risks and all the activities to mitigate that risk is recorded and reported.
Any further comments or questions? If not, I'll put that first recommendation, council receive and note the report, to the floor. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously, thank you. The second recommendation is that council supports the public release of the correspondence from the Local Government Mutual Liability Scheme dated the 13th of November, titled Crozier Hill Development and City of Victor Harbor L1004992 Investigation, and that a copy of the correspondence be included as an addendum to the public minutes of this meeting. Moved Councillor Henderson and seconded by Councillor Schofield. Either of you want to speak to that? Does anybody want to speak to that? Councillor Kemp.
It's an interesting decision to release a document with a fair bit of detail there to referencing people and their names. I find it interesting that under Section 90 of confidentiality, any time we mention anyone's personal affairs, it goes into confidence automatically. Here we are endorsing a report that's going to go out which names a lot of people and their marital status and all sorts of things. But anyway, it's about for the public to understand what's happened, to get the full picture. But I do, and I want to remind the public in this statement I'm about to make now, that this report's come from a mutual liability scheme lawyers on behalf to support council. So it's only one organisation's opinion on the investigation they've undertaken. There has not been an independent investigation to this level, only through the mutual liability scheme, which is representing council to protect council from litigation or from compensation. And that's what the scheme is designed to do. So again, it's not what I would believe is a totally independent report. There's only one view of an investigation, and until we get another investigation done by another independent people who have no input or connections to council or the owners of properties, then we may get a true situation of what the Crozier Estate issues have been about since 2000. So just let people know that, you know, this is not end-all to, finish it all to end-all, because it's only just one set of lawyers' opinions on working on behalf of the council.
I'll ask the CEO to respond to that, Councillor Kemp.
Through the Mayor, I probably will stand to correct you. That's not correct. So the Local Government Mutual Liability Scheme is standing in and represents council as its insurer. It has engaged both independent legal advice from Warmans and also independent legal advice from QC Andrew Harris. So it is a completely independent investigation that has been engaged by the scheme to provide the scheme the advice and to act on behalf of the council. So it is an independent investigation. I also, correct in the comment we made before, there is the legal court action reference risk was actually assessed, so it's under the risk and legal compliance. So we believe it is medium based on the independent investigation if the matter was taken further.
Thank you, CEO, for that clarification. I'll stand corrected on some of those points.
Are there any further commentary? Councillor Kemp, you were the only one that wanted to speak. Councillor Charles?
Thank you. I'll be voting for it, most definitely. I do not doubt this confidential report by the Local Government Mutual Liability Scheme, the insurers, was written to be released. It unapologetically presents a typical insurance company perspective. I have every expectation this council will support and release what I believe is a presentation designed to take the heat out of this long, crazy debacle, which has been allowed to fester for some 20 years, and therefore has cost the community hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million. In my mind, it's a foregone conclusion this report will be released to the public, but unfortunately the expense to the public purse will continue as eventually physical flood mitigation measures will be required to protect residents and property. In hindsight, how simple if in 1999 Council was advised to follow the principles of our development plan before they voted. The Crozier Hill development issue has been regularly covered by the media and in council chambers, and in the manner in which it was addressed or not addressed gave rise to strong doubts there was nothing to hide. I know during my first 4 years on council, I repeatedly questioned council, and because of my questioning, I believe I've been marginalised and punished for seeking a fair solution. I sought a frank, every which way communication with all parties, including the whistleblower, Mr. Blatchford, but this was never permitted. Tonight we have the report of approximately 18 months investigation by a Queen's Counsel, a special counsel and assisting legal team employed by the insurers. By my reasoning and my belief, it is that any report written for and paid for by an insurance company can only be viewed as a one-sided legal opinion. But who will test that opinion against an alternative opinion? Do they have public funding too? Council members on page 78 of the agenda see legal and compliance. It reads, if council maintains the position of the scheme being the insurers, any further discussion of the matter should only be instigated by court action. This statement, in my view, is bullying and intimidation. To me, it says might is right. It promotes legal action as a dare, knowing that it is extremely unlikely that any individual or community group could afford to take court action and compete on a level playing field, financially speaking. Every day there are contested issues in courts. They argue till the cows come home or until someone runs out of money or time. That's my statement, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll also place my questions on notice for the next council meeting in December.
Any further discussion from the members? Councillor Henderson, do you want to close the debate? All right, I'll put this to the floor. All those in favour? That's unanimously carried. Thank you very much.
South Coast Television, your community, your voice.